Hello, John. I'm delighted to introduce John from Mandara Wills. So, John Edwards, tell us a little bit about Mandara Wills and what you do.
Well, Mandara Wills and Estate Planning is a business which I created in, I think, probably 2011, 2012. I've always been involved in financial services my entire working life, and I was giving advice to clients on mortgages, and I decided to go back and learn again all about pensions and investments. So I did all the examinations that you need to be authorized to give advice on pensions and investments. And at the time I was doing the studying, it took a year to do the studying.
Wow.
At the time that I did the studying and passed the exams, it was suggested to me that I should maybe think about doing wills for my clients. And this was an area that interested me because I had done them probably from about 96 through until about 2001. And then circumstances meant I no longer did them. And then when the opportunity presented itself that I could get trained and do them again, I thought, well, I didn't really have a great deal of confidence in the people I was referring out to. So I thought, if I didn't have confidence in the people I was referring out to, maybe it might be an idea if I did it myself. So I went on a 2-week residential training course to learn all about wills and lasting powers of attorney. And that's how Mandara Wills and Estate Planning was formed and created.
Ah, right. And that's, I think that gives us a good reason why people shouldn't just go to the stationery shop and buy the ready-made will if it takes you 2 weeks of a residential course to learn how to do it. And I know you're constantly updating your skills as well, aren't you?
There is an interesting story, which is probably not as relevant now as it used to be. But W.H. Smiths used to sell will kits in their shops. And when they sold them originally in their shops, what they forgot to do was mention that a witness to a beneficiary to a will couldn't also be a witness to a will. And this was many, many years ago. And what happened is subsequent beneficiaries who then weren't allowed to actually inherit because they had actually been a witness were not allowed the money. So they sued W.H. Smiths for this particular loss of inheritance. So obviously that's no longer the situation, but clearly I think that people need to be aware DIY is not a good idea necessarily.
Absolutely. And was that one of the drivers to you starting the business? What made you start?
No, the W.H. Smith situation was probably dating from back from the 80s to early 90s, so it's a long, long time ago. But the driver for me to do it was that there were various will writers and people who I knew who I had talked to about wills. And one lady who was doing my will for me before I was involved in doing this again, she said, well, we need 2 witnesses. If you sign it, I'll be one of the witnesses, and then I'll take it home to my husband and get him to sign it. And this was a solicitor who was suggesting this.
Goodness me.
I thought to myself, I'm really not too sure I want to refer business to this particular individual. And I didn't actually have her witness my signature. I got it done properly. But when the opportunity presented itself to be able to offer wills and do it myself and know that it was being done correctly, because you're never going to know that a will's not correct until you're upstairs looking down and there's a complete disaster and you're thinking, my goodness, I wish I'd done it properly.
Absolutely. Yes. It's such an emotional time for people to, to have a properly drawn up will just can relieve so much of that anxiety, can't it?
And my belief is that if we're upstairs looking down, what we actually want to do is be remembered as people that were organized, not people that left a complete mess behind for other people to sort out.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you're upstairs looking down and everyone's moaning about you? You think, oh no, this is terrible. I want good memories. I don't want bad memories.
Absolutely, there's enough to do sorting out people's
Yeah,
houses and things.
yeah.
So a straightforward will really helps. So, what makes an ideal customer for you?
Well, an ideal customer. Someone once said, "The mind is like a parachute. Unless it's open, it's useless." And the ideal customer for me is someone who is open to ideas, because we can't know everything about everything, and people can have a simple will, or they can have wills that involve trusts, which make the distribution of the estate more efficient. And so an ideal customer is someone who I can talk to, I can explain things to, and they're open-minded and they say, yes, I can see the sense in that. I'd like to consider doing that instead. So open-mindedness, and I would like to think of myself as someone who perhaps doesn't necessarily always give people what they want, but gives them what they need.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you talked earlier about serving couples particularly, and couples with children would be an ideal. So open-minded couples who want to protect their estates for their children.
What we can do is we can arrange wills for clients where we can arrange a simple will, which is each to each other and then to the children. And if we imagine that that couple are called Jack and Jill, and we imagine that Jack unfortunately dies, and they've both got wills that say each to each other and then to the children. So Jill's left, and unfortunately she's bringing up two children, and it's really tough. And she has a will, and the will actually says that in the event of her death, her estate goes to her children, and her children are Susan and Fiona. Now, Susan and Fiona, delightful young girls, and Jill wants to leave the money to them. What happens is several years pass by, and Jill meets a new chap called Michael, and she gets on really, really well with Michael. And what happens is, as that relationship develops, she decides that she wants to commit to him. So she decides that she wants to get married to him. So at that particular point in time, she decides, I'll get married. What she doesn't realize is at the point that she gets married, her existing will is null and void. So her estate doesn't go to her children. But what she doesn't realize is that now that she doesn't have a will because it's null and void, if she dies, the bulk of her estate could go to Michael and not to her children. Mm-hmm. So if Jack and Jill are up in heaven looking down, and Michael's rubbing his hands together thinking, I've got all this money, they may wish that they'd done things differently. So what I do is I arrange things that protect children from not going without their inheritances.
I think that's so important to so many parents, that they don't always think about how best to do it, or they don't always get the right advice on how best to do it. So yeah, when they're looking down, they must grieve when they see things not working out for their children. So what do you enjoy doing when you're not working, John?
It's been a very interesting period of time, because we haven't actually been able to do very much because of COVID-19, etc. But what I enjoy doing when I'm not working is I enjoy entertaining. And one of the things that I've been exploring recently is fire pits. I don't know if you're aware of fire pits, Glenda.
Hubby has got one on his birthday list, so okay. I'm getting more aware of them.
I bought a fire pit, or rather, I bought a fire pit which my girlfriend effectively paid for, which was a birthday present. And it's a 1 meter in diameter fire pit. And I've been exploring lots of different ways of using this fire pit. And I bought a tripod as well, which sits above the fire pit, which has a grill, which is on a chain, which can be lowered or elevated, dependent on the amount of heat you want. So I'm looking forward to a summer of entertaining and using this fire pit and my barbecue, etc. But as far as other sort of hobbies are concerned, I enjoy skiing. I go skiing most years and I enjoy it, and I booked to go skiing this year, provided I can find a way of getting there.
Well,
I've got
let's
the
keep
accommodation
fingers
booked.
crossed. We want good weather. We want COVID to be relaxed enough for us to be able to go. We want good transport. I hope you get it.
Thank you.
So, John, if people would like to know more about you and your Mandara Wills business, how do they find out?
One of the things that they could do is to go onto our website, which is www.mandarawills.com. Alternatively, Fabulous Networking have a number of networking meetings, and two of those meetings, the Richmond group and the Guildford group, I currently look after, and I run those both. They could come along and they could join in at one of those meetings, and they can meet me at those meetings.
That sounds terrific. Not only do they get to meet you, but a whole load of other business people as well, as well as promoting their own businesses.
Yeah, very true.
Fantastic. Well, we'll put the links to the website at the end of the video, and also you're on social media, I know.
Yes.
So we'll include those links as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you very much indeed. That's great.
Thank you.